Please welcome Rayya Elias.
Another eviction, this time unavoidable. Kim and I knew it was coming, but still we weren't ready to leave our home, no matter how much we deserved it. We were pathetic, tired, sick, numb, strung out. It was 1987 and we were living on 2nd Street between Avenues A and B. The marshal knocked on a bright sunny morning. I cracked the door and begged him for a couple of hours so we could pack our stuff. We had nowhere to go, no money, no car, no real friends. I hadn't spoken to my family in over a year. And after Dad asked us to leave, my relationship with my parents, well, was fucked. It was different for Kim because she was still speaking with her mom. And yet, we didn't feel we could call her during an eviction. These were dire circumstances. I had to think on my feet. I had Kim start putting our stuff in big black garbage bags while I ran outside to see if I could find Gary. Gary was a wealthy Polish construction dude who was doing all the sites on Avenue A and B. He liked 3 things. He liked to smoke crack, he liked to fuck whores, and he liked Kathy and me. Sorry, Kim. Forgot I changed her name. Shit. So I walk over to, fuck this reading thing. So I walk over to the construction site. I look down at it once in a while just to get my place, okay? So I walk over to the construction site and I'm like, Gary, come on, can you help us? And he's like, yeah. I'll pull my truck around this afternoon, you know, just make sure all your shit's packed, and I'll take you to a motel in Jersey City, and, well, you know, I'll put you up for a couple of days. So, I knew I had to think on my feet again, and I had to keep us well for a couple of days because I was a junkie. So, I was thinking and pacing up and down 3rd Street in front of the liquor store to see if there was someone to work, like a victim. It was past the morning shift, so none of my usual customers were there. I lit a cigarette, took a long drag, and an older, seedy man who was skinny, tall, and looked homeless, soiled baggy pants, a stained trench coat, and a head full of matted hair, shuffled up to me and asked me for a date. Now, we all know what that means. He wanted to pay for sex. I'd never done that before, not that I hadn't been desperate enough. But you know, I'd always been sure I'd never quite sink that low, though I'd been pretty, you know, through some trapdoors myself. Now though, I looked him up and down, and he looked basically harmless. He couldn't afford this, I said, waving to my skinny waif of a body. I sure can, he growled. And he pulled out an absolutely ginormous roll of $20 bills. I felt my eyes widen. That was more money than I'd ever seen in any one person's hand, ever. I mean, how could this elderly dude have this money? And I swallowed. I said, you got a place? Sure do, gorgeous, he smiled. And his mouth looked like a row of abandoned teeth. I mean, wait. His mouth looked like a row of abandoned buildings in the projects. Who wrote this shit anyway? Sure do, gorgeous, he smiled, and his mouth looked like a... Yeah, I just read that. Anyways, I shuddered. I said, let me get 40. I gotta get straight first. I held out my hand, knowing he'd give it up. You coming back, right, he demanded. Of course, I said, snottily, but it will cost you. Oh, I plan on it. I know you want some of this change, baby. Smiling, he pulled a bottle inside a brown paper bag from his pocket, unscrewed the top, and took a long swig of something alcoholic and foul. He then slowly peeled 2 20s off the top of the roll. I'll wait right here for you, he said. I snatched the 2 20s and broke into a stride to get to the Dominican's bodega. The Dominican didn't have the best coke and dope in town, but he did sell both, and he was conveniently right around the corner. I quickly copped, came back to find the old dude waiting and rocking while drinking his poison. Knew you'd be back, he said. I'm Frank. Ray, let's go. We started walking west to 2nd Avenue. As I followed him, I tried to think of ways to get his money without servicing him. There was no way I was going down on that shit. Even the thought of it made me dry heave. Normally, I would have just taken the 40 and split, but today I needed the rest of that money, so we'd have a cushion for a couple of days. The $40 had just bought me enough to get straight for a couple of hours. How much is this going to cost me, he asked, as we walked. 200. No kissing or fucking. What? He stopped in his tracks and stared at me. That's some golden pussy, he said, sounding annoyed. Hey, take it or leave it. You can always go down to Allen Street and get some old, dried up, diseased old pussy. Unless the money ain't yours. You're the one flashing it around. Oh, it's mine, he said. We started walking again, and I knew I had him. His ego just would not let it go. We got to an old storefront that was once a locksmith on 2nd Avenue. There was a key lock sign partially hanging on top of the old accordion gate, and Frank unlocked it. He pushed the rusty gate to one side, then unlocked a heavy metal inside door. Come on in, he said, and he walked into the dingy, cavernous, concrete-floored place like it was a palace. There was a couch on one side and a workbench on the other with all kinds of shit on it. Screws, vices, clipped on dusty warps, pieces of wood, glue, cans of paint, scattered. Everything was scattered everywhere. Cash first, I paused. He counted out 10 $20 bills and slapped them into my hand like I just insulted him. I rolled them up and put them in my bra, then walked in. Is this your place, I asked? And I sat on the stool next to the workbench and started fixing myself a hit so we could get this show on the road. The guy next door lets me stay here. He closed the gate. And then I heard it, a snap. He padlocked us in. Just then, I blasted off. A huge hit of speedball rushing through my veins. I'll figure this out later, I thought. Closed my eyes. When I opened my eyes again, just a few minutes later, Frank was gone. I looked around, and as my eyes adjusted, I saw another door near the back of the room. No doubt a bathroom. I got up and took a look at the gate to see exactly what I was dealing with. Sure enough, after I opened the metal door, I saw a padlock on the gate. Frank came back into the room. Where the fuck you think you're going, he said. And then I saw he was holding a shotgun. Fear jolted through me. What are you doing? I cried out. Shut the door, he said, his voice low and calm. I did as he said, completely terrified. I'm a Vietnam vet, you know, he crooned. I nodded, trying to keep my cool. Frank, put the gun down. You don't need it here. You gonna play nice? He was advancing toward me. Of course, I nodded, trying to smile, though I was completely freaked out, my mind spinning out of control.